Mimic. The man sat across from me glowed like a sun. His complexion, fair with a hint of blue. Dark locks to his shoulders. Lumberjack build in jeans and a shirt to match. An outline of a peacock feather tattooed on his forearm glistened a fraction below his rolled-up sleeve. Kaneo noticed me looking at the tattoo. She recognized who I was. "Why do you think I got through your mist without a fight?" he said. I turned to Hamish, who was sat above the curtain rail. He blinked at me. I nodded. Mortimer watched Kaneo from his usual spot on the rug. "What did your old friend say?" Kaneo said. "Good to see you again, Kaneo. What brings you to my home?" I said. His exact words. I'm paraphrasing. "What does bring you here?" "Why so frosty, gatekeeper? I am here to see you after all." Kaneo crossed one leg over the other. His right hand leaned on his armrest. His left hand held his wrists. "I am aware of your customs." Kaneo touched his hand on his heart. "I will honor them and tell you my account and why I have come." I reciprocated the gesture. I turned to Hamish, who leapt off the curtain board and landed softly on the rug. He walked out of the lounge. Kaneo watched him. Hamish has other duties to attend to. Mortimer, head raised, watched Kaneo, who turned to him. He then looked at the blue flames dancing on the logs. They reflected his hue. I had been watching this particular school teacher for a while. Her child is to be my next avatar. I needed to make sure she was protected. Kaneo smiled. His eyes shimmered for a second. I grasped my cane handle and placed it flat, hilt forward, on the table beside me. She was mesmerizing, gatekeeper, but the man she was with simply won't do. He did not possess the qualities I needed. He had to go. I crept up onto their balcony and perched there, watching them through the window. A few hours passed before they were asleep. Just after 1 a.m., I slid into their room. Kaneo grinned. I snapped his neck and dragged him out the room, quietly laying him down in the corridor. She was still asleep, poor mare. I changed, turning into his identical image, and then I lay beside her. Sliding my hands under the covers, I caressed her. She responded. I flipped her onto a front and mounted her, planting my seed. She howled, enjoying it. Once finished, I rolled over, pulling the covers over her, and turned away. Kaneo laughed, watching the fire, recalling what he did. Dawn, she got up and left the room. She dashed back into the room to find it empty. I watched from the balcony for a while, and then I left. Kaneo looked at me. That wasn't the end of it. I needed my mother to be isolated. How could she give birth to a divine being such as me in secret? This was not the case, so I turned up at the hospital in the guise of her lover. This messed with her mind. She was admitted to the psychiatric ward for further monitoring. I entered her room as the duty doctor, only to transform into a lover the second I got in there. You should have seen her face. It was priceless. She thought I was an apparition. From the frying pan into the fire, as they say. She felt her stomach and cried, "What joy! I will finally be born again." She tried breaking out, but the orderlies came in with a nurse who sedated her. This lasted for about 6 months. I would change guise into an orderly, get close, be supportive, and then morph into her lover. I must say, I've got this shifting technique down. Alas, it wasn't meant to be. Kaneo slapped his thigh. She shoved a dining knife into her neck and bled out. Ha! What could I say? She wasn't the mother I was looking for. I needed another. Someone more robust. There you have it, gatekeeper. I am ready for my door. How did you flee from the balcony? I said. What? When you first met her, how did you flee the balcony? I became a chimp and bolted up the building, Kaneo said. How did you get up to the balcony? I climbed it the same way. Any more questions? He said. Just two. Firstly, which door shall I open for you? Mortimer stood up. The one to the demon world, Kaneo said. Once in, how will you get out? Gatekeeper, I'll call on you to open it again once I'm done. I looked at Kaneo. Of course, Avatar, I said. This way. I led Kaneo out the lounge. Turning left, I walked to the stairs, only to find another Kaneo coming up the stairs with Hamish beside him. He stopped and touched his heart and gave me a gentle nod. Gatekeeper. Greetings, Avatar. I touched my heart and gave him a gentle bow. I could have shown the mimic to a door that will keep him occupied for a very long time, I said. Avatar smiled. There he is, he said. Avatar moved to Kaneo, who halted. He turned. Mortimer's bark kept him from moving. Avatar placed his hand on Kaneo's shoulder. Rykard, as you have honored me by mimicking me, I will personally show you to your door, Avatar said. How else could I get the attention of the one who destroyed my entire tribe? I cursed the day my ancestors met you, Kaneo. He smiled. My grandmother's plan worked. She knew all those years ago that you would come here. They say you often visit with the gatekeeper. Rykard looked at me. Toss me into the demon world and be done with it, he said. Avatar smiled. I do not govern here, Rykard. Avatar looked at me. There is a room in the basement, bottom of the stairs. Turn right, keep walking to the joining corridor, then first door on the left. It is blank. Tell me, Mimic, what will you turn into when you have nothing to mimic? I said. Rykard's eyes opened wide. He gasped, No! He'll cycle through all his guises, repeating one after the other, until he burns out, Avatar said. I nodded. Mortimer. Rykard lunged at me. Avatar's hand sliced Rykard's head clean off. It disintegrated the moment it hit the carpet. His body flaked out of existence. It was his time, Gatekeeper. Avatar turned to me. How about I tell you about it over a single malt? I nodded. I returned to the lounge with the Avatar, the real Kaneo. 2 single malts. One on each table waited for the pair of us. Hamish was in his usual spot, on the board above the curtain rail. Mortimer followed us in and sat down on his rug. When I destroyed Rykard's tribe, I also cursed them. What they did to their neighboring tribe was unspeakable. I made his great ancestor aware that they will never know rest until I return. I smiled. What you smiling at, Nape? Avatar said. There are stars that have faded into oblivion waiting for your return, Kaneo. I said. Kaneo smiled. The tribe's matriarch begged a reprieve. I could not take back the curse, but I did add a loophole. Her tribe will be at peace when she is driven to self-murder by one of her own. Naturally, she did not take to that well. Kaneo looked at the blue flames dancing on the logs. The school teacher was Rykard's ancestor, I said. Kaneo nodded. Checks and balances, Gatekeeper. Kaneo finished his single malt. He stood up, prompting myself, Mortimer, and Hamish all to stand. He looked at the flames in the fireplace, smiled, and raised his index finger. Above it, a spinning disk of energy spun rapidly with a low hum. It grew powerful, brighter, right there in front of me. I could see celestial bodies spinning around a small star that glowed brighter than the fire. Sudarshan Chakra, a tribute for the single malt. Call its name and it will come to you. Be mindful, gatekeeper. You can only use it once, then it will return to me. I touched my hand on my heart and gave a gentle nod. Checks and balances. Thank you, cowherder. Remember, Nape, the Sudarshan Chakra is made of sunlight. I kept my gaze on Kaneo. I took that piece of information, but I didn't know what it meant, so I kept it in my memory. Kaneo looked at Hamish and then Mortimer. Keep him on this side of the rim. Farewell, gatekeeper. Kaneo left the lounge. I could not hear his footsteps as he ascended the staircase, but I was aware that he was going to speak to Divine Mother. I sat back down, as did the others. Rykard was blessed today, as he was killed by the cowherder himself. Rykard's next door will lead him to Kaneo's abode, where he will know indefinite peace, feeling without limit. For that, I salute him. How did I know that he was not the real Avatar? Once you have been in the presence of the cowherder, that sense of primal energy, feeling bliss, never leaves you. You simply know it's him. Rykard did not possess that feeling. Rather emitted a restless temporary energy. He thought he could fool us. But then they always do. For now, I need to think on the jailbreak that is going to happen in my home. I looked up at Hamish. Oh yes, somewhere along the lines, I'm going to have to go beyond the rim. Apparently, I don't come back from that. So my two companions are tasked with keeping me here. Question is, what would make me go there? What would make me open that door? Need to think on that. See you next Sunday at 11. Stay safe. Don't die in your sleep. Godspeed.